Have you ever looked back on a relationship and thought, what went wrong? You gave your time, your attention, your effort, and somehow the more you gave, the less respect you received. It's not your fault. Most men were never taught what truly destroys their value, quietly, subtly, in ways they can't even see. There are 9 silent habits that turn powerful men into weak ones. 9 things that make her lose respect without even realizing why. But here's the truth. Once you understand these 9, you'll never see relationships the same way again. You'll start noticing the tiny mistakes in your words, in your tone, in your reactions that used to cost you power. And from that moment on, you'll stop chasing. Because real men don't chase. They attract. Not through games, not through manipulation, but through clarity, strength, and purpose. This video isn't about controlling women, it's about controlling yourself. Because when you master your inner world, your emotions, your focus, your energy, everything outside of you starts to fall into place. Most men lose power because they talk too much, explain too much, care too much about being liked. But smart men, they move differently. They're calm, centered, and impossible to shake. That's what women crave. Not perfection, but presence. So before we dive in, I've got something special for you. A free ebook called The Female Mind Control Handbook. It's not a gimmick. It's a deep look into the hidden psychological triggers that make a woman truly crave your energy. You can grab it now. The link's in the description and the pinned comment below. Now sit back, turn off the noise. Because if you stay until the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why smart men never chase. And why from this day forward, you won't have to either. Have you ever noticed how some men can say almost nothing, yet somehow everyone listens, while others talk endlessly trying to prove their worth and still end up ignored? That difference comes down to one thing. Smart men don't over-explain. See, when you feel the need to explain your every move, why you didn't text back, why you were late, why you made that decision, you're not really explaining. You're seeking approval. And the moment you seek approval, you lose power. Because a man who constantly explains himself is subconsciously saying, please understand me. Please don't be upset with me. But high-value men, they don't ask for permission to be who they are. They communicate clearly, and then they move on. When a woman says, why didn't you text me right away? A man who doesn't trust himself will panic. He'll start typing paragraphs, overcompensating, hoping to fix something that isn't even broken. But a confident man simply says, I was doing something important, and he leaves it there. Because real confidence doesn't beg to be understood. It stands firm in silence. That silence makes her curious. It creates mystery, and mystery builds attraction. The truth is, over-explaining doesn't make her trust you more. It makes her feel your insecurity. It tells her you're afraid to lose her approval. But the man who's grounded, calm, and unapologetic, that's the man she respects. So the next time you feel that urge to justify your actions, stop. Take a breath. And remember, you don't owe anyone an essay about your decisions. Say it once. Say it with conviction. Then move on. Because when your words carry certainty, you won't need to explain yourself twice. Your presence will do the talking for you. Every man has felt it. That pull to chase after someone who suddenly feels just out of reach. You start texting more, trying harder, saying more than you should. And before you realize it, she's no longer drawn to you. She's escaping you. That's because chasing never creates attraction. It kills it. There's a difference between pursuing and chasing. Pursuing is when a man moves with purpose, direction, and self-respect. Chasing is when that purpose turns into desperation, when your actions are no longer about connection, but about fear. The moment you start bending over backwards to impress her, you've told her, without saying a word, that she is the prize, and you are the one auditioning. And from that moment, the dynamic is gone. Smart men know this. Women test. They'll delay replies, pull back, go quiet. Not because they're cruel, but because they want to see if you'll fold. They want to feel your strength, to see if you can hold your ground. So when she doesn't text back, do you double text? When she says she's busy, do you beg for another time? Every time you chase, you teach her to value you less. A high-value man never panics when distance appears. He gives her space, not to punish her, but because he respects himself enough not to chase where he's not invited. He understands this simple truth. If she wants you, she'll make it clear. If she doesn't, that is your answer. So stop chasing people who need convincing. Lead, move with calm direction, and if the energy isn't mutual, fall back effortlessly. Because the man who stands firm in his purpose never has to run after anyone. He attracts by being still. He commands by simply being. Every man at some point has met a woman who seemed broken, the one who's moody, unpredictable, lost in her emotions. And something inside you whispers, I can fix her. I'll be the one who makes her okay. But here's the truth most men learn too late. You can't fix someone who doesn't want to heal. And trying to do so doesn't make you a savior. It makes you her therapist. You think you're helping, but what you're really doing is abandoning yourself. You start walking on eggshells, trying to rescue her from her own storms. And in the process, you step out of your masculine frame. You stop leading and start managing her emotions. Smart men don't do that. They don't get pulled into chaos they didn't create. They offer empathy, not rescue. Support, not solutions. Because the moment you make her problems your responsibility, you've crossed a line. One that kills attraction faster than anything else. You've become the parent figure, and nothing destroys polarity like that. A woman doesn't want a man who fixes her. She wants a man strong enough not to drown in her waves. A man who can stand still when she's spiraling and say without words, I'm here, but I'm not losing myself. That's real strength, not reacting, not trying to control. Just being the mountain, steady, calm, grounded. Remember this, being stoic isn't being cold. It's being clear about what's yours to carry and what isn't. You can care deeply without losing your balance. You can love her without trying to save her. So next time she's in her storm, don't jump in to fix it. Stay centered. Stay solid. Because the man who doesn't need to fix her is the one she finally feels safe with. It always starts the same way. You meet her. She's beautiful, magnetic, different. You start spending time together, and suddenly, the gym doesn't feel as important. Your business goals slow down. You cancel plans with friends because you'd rather be with her. At first, it feels romantic, like you're choosing love. But slowly, without noticing, you stop choosing yourself. And that's the trap most men fall into. They trade their purpose for presence. They forget that what made her attracted in the first place wasn't how much attention they gave. It was the fire in their eyes. The mission, the drive, the focus. The moment you lose that, you lose the energy that drew her in. See, a woman doesn't fall for a man who waits around for her text. She falls for the man who's building something, who's too focused on his path to obsess over every message. Because his purpose gives him gravity, and gravity pulls everything into its orbit. You don't need to ignore her to stay powerful. You just need to remember who you were before she arrived. Your gym, your craft, your ambition, those are not optional. They're oxygen. If she truly values you, she'll respect your mission. If she tries to pull you away from it, either she's not ready for your world, or you've forgotten your role in it. Smart men don't revolve around women. They revolve around vision. And from that vision, everything else aligns. Love, respect, and attraction. So the next time you feel that urge to skip your goals just to be available, pause. Ask yourself, what would the man I'm trying to become do right now? Because when a man has something bigger than her to chase, she'll start chasing him. You're at a party, she's laughing with another guy. He's charming, confident, maybe even touching her arm while talking. And in that split second, you feel it. That sting in your chest. Your ego flinches and your mind starts whispering, I need to win her back. So you start talking louder, cracking jokes, trying to pull her attention back to you. And in doing that, you've already lost. Because the moment you compete for her attention, you tell her and the whole room that you see yourself as less than. That her validation is a prize you're fighting for. But a high-value man doesn't fight for attention. He commands it, silently. Smart men know that attraction isn't won through effort. It's maintained through presence. When she's laughing with someone else, you don't panic. You don't play games or make scenes. You simply stay grounded, calm, collected, unmoved. Because real value doesn't need to prove itself. Let her talk. Let her enjoy herself. Meanwhile, you stand there with quiet confidence, a man secure in who he is, not shaken by who she's talking to. And that calm energy, it's magnetic. because every other man is trying to impress her. You're the only one who doesn't need to. That's what separates every man in the room from the one she can't stop thinking about later. Not the loudest one, not the funniest, the one who didn't flinch when her attention drifted away. When you're truly confident, you stop reacting to every moment that threatens your ego. You realize your worth doesn't depend on her gaze. It depends on your center. So stop competing, start embodying, because the man who stays grounded while others scramble for validation always ends up standing tallest in the room. Let's be honest. Most men fall in love by losing themselves. At first, she's your light. She makes you laugh again, dream again, feel alive again. And before you know it, she becomes your reason for everything. Your mood depends on her texts. Your peace depends on her tone. Your world starts orbiting around her smile. But here's the brutal truth. If she's the reason you're smiling, she'll eventually be the reason you're broken. Because when you give someone else control over your emotions, you've handed them your power. And once she senses that, even subconsciously, the dynamic changes. You become reactive, emotional, dependent. And nothing kills attraction faster than neediness. Smart men build happiness from within. They don't rely on her validation to feel alive. They find peace in discipline, joy in solitude, fulfillment in their mission. Because when your emotional world is self-sustained, you stop clinging and start attracting. Think about it. The man who's happy by himself radiates a quiet confidence. He's not chasing approval. He's choosing who fits into his already peaceful world. That's what women feel drawn to. Not the man who needs her, but the man who's already whole, with or without her. So before you give her your heart, ask yourself, am I already good without her? If the answer is no, you're not ready to give. You're still trying to take. A woman should add to your happiness, not become it. You're the foundation. She's the addition. Build your peace. Guard it. Because the moment your joy depends on her, you've already lost it. But the man who's grounded, fulfilled, and unshakably content on his own, that's the man every woman can't help but want. Every woman, whether she admits it or not, will test you. Not because she's cruel, but because deep down, she wants to feel your strength. She wants to know if you can hold your ground when her emotions become a storm. She might pull away. She might flirt with another guy just to see how you react. She might question your ambition, tease your confidence, or throw a sarcastic jab when she feels insecure herself. And in that moment, how you respond decides everything. Most men fail the test because they react emotionally. They get angry, jealous, defensive. They try to prove themselves, explain themselves, or worse, they start doubting their own worth. They let her emotions dictate their actions. But a smart man doesn't get dragged into chaos. He understands. This isn't war, it's a mirror. She's reflecting his composure back at him. She's unconsciously asking, can you handle me when I'm not easy to handle? A high-value man doesn't take the bait. He doesn't yell, argue, or chase validation. He simply observes, smiles, and stays centered. Because real power isn't in controlling her. It's in controlling yourself. Every time you stay calm when she expects chaos, you show her something rare. Stability. The kind of presence that makes her feel safe, not because you fixed her emotions, but because yours stayed unshaken. Remember this. Women don't test you to break you. They test you to feel you, to see if your confidence is real or just talk. If it's solid, she'll relax into it. If it's fragile, she'll keep pushing until it cracks. So when she throws a storm your way, don't react. Breathe, smile, stay unmoved. Because her emotional waves mean nothing to a man who's already found his mountain. For having boundaries, for saying, no, this doesn't align with me. But here's the truth. A man with no standards isn't kind, he's lost. And a man who lowers his standards to be accepted will always end up resentful, empty, and unseen. Smart men know their value. They don't demand perfection, but they demand alignment. They understand that peace, loyalty, and trust aren't luxuries. They're requirements. So when you say, I want a woman who respects herself, who brings calm instead of drama, who adds peace to my life instead of stealing it, you're not being controlling, you're being clear. Don't let the world shame you for that. Because society loves weak men. Men who say yes when they should walk away. Men who trade their principles for approval. But real men? They hold the line. If she says, "You're too picky," what she really means is, "You're not easily controlled." If she calls you toxic for having standards, what she's saying is, "You're no longer tolerating my chaos." And that's okay, because your standards aren't there to keep people out. They're there to protect your peace. The right woman will never be offended by your clarity. She'll respect it. Because deep down, she knows a man who respects himself first can finally love someone else the right way. So stop apologizing, stop explaining, stand tall in what you believe, and never feel guilty for expecting what you deserve. Because your standards are your compass. They're what separate a boy chasing approval from a man building a kingdom of peace. And when you live by that code, you don't have to chase love. Love recognizes you on its own. So in the end, these 9 lessons aren't rules. They're boundaries. The invisible line between the man who reacts to life and the man who leads it. Every time you choose silence over explanation, purpose over comfort, clarity over chaos, you're not just gaining her respect, you're earning your own. Because being a high-value man isn't about money, muscles, or status. It's about control. Not over others, but over yourself. When you stop chasing, you start attracting. When you stop proving, you start commanding. And when you finally stand firm in your frame, you never need to chase again. That's what real confidence looks like. It's quiet, it's steady, it's unshakable. So from this moment on, don't just know these lessons, live them. Be the man who others look at and think, there's something different about him. Because there will be. Your energy changes when you stop needing approval, when your peace is no longer for sale. And if this message spoke to you, if you're done being the man who over-explains, over-chases, over-gives, then take the next step. Subscribe to this channel right now. Join the movement of men who are waking up, reclaiming their self-respect, and mastering the art of calm, powerful presence. There's more coming. Deeper lessons, real psychology, and mindset tools that'll help you become the man you were meant to be. Don't miss what's next, because the journey doesn't end here. It starts here. When a man stands firm in his frame, he never needs to chase again.